The sky was dark, the wind whistled through the window. Min, a writer specializing in writing horror stories, is sitting in front of the computer screen, typing every word in a small, cramped room. But there's a strange thing, every time he stops to think, the sound of typing still rings out. He turned around, there was no one there. Only the light from the screen reflected on his tense face. He smiled wryly, thinking to himself that he was probably too focused, causing hallucinations. But when he looked down at the keyboard, the letters were still automatically syncing, as if someone was continuing to write his story. The curse begins. Min moved to this house not long ago, an old house with a surprisingly cheap price. The old owner left in a hurry, leaving only a few vague words, "Don't open the door," at the end of the hallway. Min doesn't believe in ghosts, but the rattling noises at night make it difficult for him to sleep. That door, every night, seems to automatically open a little. Some nights, he woke up in the middle of the night, hearing slow footsteps in the house, as if someone was walking. But when the light turned on, everything was silent, only a cold feeling clinging to the skin. A few times he tried placing a chair to block the door, but the next morning, the chair had been pushed aside, and the door was still ajar. Horrifying flashback. One night, he decided to find out the truth. When I put my hand on the doorknob, a cold feeling ran down my spine. The door opened, inside was just an empty room, but the mirror on the wall reflected a different scene. A woman with long hair and white eyes stood right behind Min. He was startled and turned around, but there was no one. My heart was pounding, cold sweat was pouring out. But in the mirror, that figure was still standing there, his smile curled up in a strange way. Suddenly, the room light went out. A cold hand touched Min's shoulder. The chase. Since that night, strange phenomena continued to occur. Shadows passed through the hallway, whispers were right in my ears even though no one was there. Every time Min wakes up in the middle of the night, he always feels like someone is standing next to his bed, staring at him. One time, when he turned on his phone to illuminate it, the screen reflected a pale face with empty eyes staring at him from the bedside. Min tried to explain it scientifically, but the more he learned, the more haunted everything became. Neighbors said that many years ago, a woman committed suicide in that room, her soul never left. Some people said that anyone in this house would disappear without a trace. Terrifying climax. One night, Min heard a loud knock on the door. When opened, the hallway was empty. But when I returned to the room, the computer screen displayed the words, "Don't write about me." Cold breath blew on the back of my neck. He came back. The room was dark, with only the pale blue light from the computer screen shining on the wall. A shadow was standing there, shape unknown, but white eyes shining brightly in the darkness. A whisper rang right in Min's ear. "You saw me. Now, you belong to me." Haunting ending. The next morning, Min's room was empty, only the computer was still open, displaying an unfinished paragraph. The story was interrupted midway, as if someone had stopped it in the middle of writing. Min was never found again. The house was once again abandoned, like every time before. Do you dare to stay until the last minute? If you feel creepy reading this story, imagine if you were Min, stuck between the boundary between reality and fantasy, hunted by an invisible force. Would you dare to live in that house? If you like haunted stories like this, don't forget like, share and register channel so as not to miss the next horror stories. And if you have any scary experiences in real life, leave a comment, maybe your story will become the next video. Good night, if possible.